Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself and the group so everybody knows who we are. My name's Rebecca. I work in the marketing department at Best Practice Network. We then have Sarah and Miss Bishop and Michelle Evans, who are our apprentice performance managers, who will be going through the presentation today. And then Bethany Melcher, who is our engagement and accounts manager. So anything enrollment based and the application process, Beth will deal with that. So she's going to talk you through a little bit more about how to apply as well after the presentation. Throughout it, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat or pop them in the Q&A area, and we can get to them after the presentation. Also, just to let you know, this is being recorded, and once we're finished, I will send across a recorded version of today's presentation as well. So great, thank you so much, and we'll start the presentation on early years apprenticeships.
Lovely, thank you very much. So yeah, I'm Michelle, I'm one of the performance managers here, and we're going to be having a little look at level 2 early years practitioner and the level 3 early years educator apprenticeships that we have on offer. Brilliant. So if we have a look at the overview of the programme, the early years practitioner level 2 is ideal for individuals who are new to the early years sector and as a way to start the early years career. And the course supports apprentices to support learning and development of all young children within their care. We then have the next step that's on offer as well, which is the early years practitioner level 3. It's an EYE, which stands for Early Years Educator Apprenticeship. And again, this is ideal for individuals to those who have completed the level 2 early years practitioner. So it's that next step, or for those who are experienced within the early years sector. This progression route enables apprentices to demonstrate effective pedagogy within their practice to promote children's learning and development for the higher level of responsibility. So we have both of them on offer here at Best Practice Network.
There we go. I think that's next.
That's all right.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Sorry.
And it's an excellent progression route for practitioners to begin the journey. So we start off at level 2 and then we have that progression route on to the level 3, as I said. And then again, we have further opportunities if you'd like to come on board to our lead practice, and we have a level 5 early years lead practitioner course as well. So we have lots of routes on offer to upskill you and get further up on the career ladder as well, and enhance your practice and your knowledge. The level 2, the early years practitioner programme, lasts for 12 months, plus an endpoint assessment at the end. And then the level 3 is for 16 months, and then plus endpoint assessment at the end as well.
Sorry for the delay.
That's all right. So just going on to some key facts. So with our level 2 and level 3 apprenticeships, we have monthly cohorts across both levels, which means that you could sign up pretty much any months of the year apart from August and December. We kind of left those clear because we know lots of people on summer holidays or just enjoying sort of the Christmas break. The level 2 early years practitioner consists of 29 knowledge, 25 skills and 7 behaviours, while the level 3 has 16 knowledge criteria, 26 skills and 6 behaviours. And all of these are delivered using our online platform called Bud. So Bud is a end-to-end service, which is where you sort of start with the enrollments and you sign up. You will then use Bud to complete your on-programme period, where you complete your modules, and your tasks as part of your apprenticeship, as well as where your tutor will get in touch with you and find all your contact details. And then it will support you right through to your endpoint assessment as well. But it's really straightforward, it's really user-friendly, and it's quite nice to use compared to some of the other ones that I've come across in my time. So yeah, so if we just move on to the next slide.
Lovely. And we have a delivery plan. So we have a blended programme of face-to-face and online study. And by that, what we mean is you'll have a tutor that is allocated to you. They will come out, they'll visit you in practice, as well as having Teams and Zoom meetings that you can have together to do your online study as well. We have additional study units on our virtual learning environment on our VLE where you can go on, and it's a program called Canvas where you can find out lots of information to support you with your assignment writing and give you that information. We have specialist one-to-one early years tutor support as well. So again, to provide that individuality to our service as well, to ensure that you're supported throughout the service. We have study skills support as well to help you with any element of any skills that you need to develop, whether that's writing, academically, and we'll help you and support you through that process. We have regular reflections on learning and practice to ensure what you're learning, that you can reflect on it and tell us what you've learned and how you put that within the workplace. We have good, strong, keen partnership working between us, you as the apprentice and the employers, and we have repeated business of going into the settings and then getting everybody through the level 2, level 3 and level 5 qualifications.
So just to follow on from that, here is an example of our level 2 Early Years Practitioner program overview. So as we said, the program is 12 months, and how this works is for each month of your time on program, the overview will tell you roughly what you will be studying during that time. It consists of, for the level 2, you will have monthly visits and monthly contact from your tutor, who will then support you in completing the tasks necessary and to build your portfolio of evidence in preparation for your endpoint assessment. You will also have monthly reviews to review your progress and to see how we can support you moving forward throughout your journey. And here's an example of the level 3. Now, the level 3 qualification, also known as the Early Years Educator, is 16 months. We've just kind of taken page 1 from this overview. And how this works is the level 3 will have monthly live webinars, which is where you and all of the other apprentices who are signed up with you will be signed up, and you will take part in monthly webinars all together as a group, which will be live delivery. In terms of your tutor visits, that will take place every 6 weeks. So in every 6 weeks, you will have a review and you'll be visited by your tutor either face-to-face or remotely. And again, it follows certain curriculum themes as well as certain K packages in line with the programme of delivery.
Lovely. So our vision is to obviously ensure that you enjoy learning with us, and we follow our curriculum, which encompasses the totality of apprentices' learning experiences throughout their time on the programme. We believe our curriculum is broad, it's balanced, it's relevant and forward-thinking in order to meet the needs of the early years sector and raise outcomes for all of the children. Immersion in the curriculum and the experiences it offers will prepare you as apprentices for the future career as early years practitioners and early years educators. We do have a vision here, and our belief is that every child must have access to an excellent early years education, regardless of their background, and that every apprentice must be supported to be their best.
So just following on, we have key curriculum themes. So part of the apprenticeship is split into certain themes just to make sure that you're learning as much as you can within certain subject areas. So for the level 3 and also with the level 2, there is the theme of health and well-being. So promoting that within early years with children, but also yourselves. Legislation, frameworks and policy. Play, development and learning for school readiness, as well as continuous professional development. So a bit about your CPD, your own progression and your next steps as well.
Yeah, so why choose us at Best Practice Network? And you can see on the wheel here that we provide comprehensive and ongoing support. And we do that by providing you with a full induction at the start for both yourself and your employer. So you both join that induction, so you're getting the full experience. We have specialist tutors with weekly catch-ups for you, so you can join meetings with your tutor to ensure that you're fully supported. We have one-to-ones with coaching and mentoring, and we also offer a first day of learning webinar, so you know exactly what you're doing right from the beginning, building up on that knowledge of your webinars, and again, having functional skills support and online options for functional skills exams. The qualification counts towards the early years foundation stage level 3. That's your level 3 qualification that you can then be included into staff ratios. And then you can also have access to apprentice progress by using our online systems through Bud. We do 6 weekly reviews, and again, including your employer in this process. And again, we also look at the finances with your employer and at the beginning of sign up, and look at levy funding, which can help you access this as well.
I do believe someone in the participants has a question. So I don't know whether if I press allow to talk, will that will that work? Oh, it's in the questions anyway. So can I just check that the level 2 counts towards child ratios? So with that, it's the level 3 qualification that counts towards child ratios. So that's the one, depending on whether it's full and relevant. R1 is full and relevant. So we'll just go on to the endpoint assessment. So the endpoint assessment is, oh, so I think this is, yeah, so the endpoint assessment for level 2 is a knowledge test. There we go. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so the level 2 early years practitioner endpoint assessment is a multiple choice knowledge test. So apprentices will take part in a test either online or in paper form as part of their endpoint assessment. The apprentice will have a maximum of 60 minutes to undertake this test. And you need to sort of, get a certain percentage correct to make sure there is that pass or that distinction grade. There is also a professional discussion, which is underpinned by a portfolio of evidence. A professional discussion is a two-way discussion, which involves the apprentice as well as the endpoint assessor. And they basically have a formal conversation about the work products that the apprentice builds during their time on programme. The portfolio of evidence will typically contain 12 pieces of evidence, also known as workplace documentation. So that's things like risk assessments, accident forms, and so forth. So all of your work product evidence. So here as well, the level 3 early years educator endpoint assessment. Again, it's the same process. However, it's slightly more challenging for the level 3. So there'll be a higher number of questions and a higher requirement or a higher percentage to get correct. So this is also a multiple choice knowledge test, which again can be taken either computer-based or paper-based with a maximum of 60 minutes, and a professional discussion underpinned by a portfolio of evidence, which again is between the apprentice and the endpoint assessor, which typically will have about 10 to 12 pieces of evidence, also known as workplace qualification documentations.
Yeah, so again, following on, as I was saying before, that you can create your own career pathway, as we do offer the different levels on offer. And we do start at level 2, which will kick off your career in the early years with our early years practitioner apprenticeship level 2. And after completion of that programme, we work in a range of early years settings and delivering early years foundation stage. That's right at the beginning of your career, and you might want to step up and then follow on and continue with the early years educator. And apprentices, you will achieve the qualification, which has been approved that this one will count towards the EYFS level 3 child staff ratios. We're really good because we then progress our career pathways, and we do offer the level 5 lead practitioner as well, which is ideal for highly skilled professionals who take on an operational lead for the care, such as your managers, your room leaders, those types of roles. Again, developing that learning and development for the children within their care. We're then looking at, not at the moment, but it may be coming in very, very shortly as a degree top-up that we'll be doing, and we'll be delivering a 12-month top-up programme, giving you a degree on completion of the qualifications, which then can progress into the early years initial teacher training towards that status. Again, as leading early years training providers to the county, to the country, we boast as having 100% pass rate on this as well, which is really good and outstanding.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle and Sarah. I think it's my turn to jump in now to talk a little bit about the enrolment process before we go on to any other questions. So With regards to the support on offer from the sort of beginning, so before you even get to the point of your first day of learning and enrolling onto the program, you'd speak to somebody like myself. So we have a fantastic early years team, or it may even be me, and we will talk you through the process of sort of application, enrolment, ensure that you understand how the program works, how the enrolment process works, and answer any questions you might have. So the first thing we would do is discuss your options with regards to funding, ensure that you understand fully the commitment of the programme, and then we would encourage the applicant to apply via our website. The application includes some details around who the person is that's wanting to complete the programme, the setting themselves, and also something which we call a skills scan, which looks at your previous experience or qualifications, if any, and how that can be applied to the programme moving forward. So that's the kind of initial stage of the application process. Once that's complete, we'll be in contact with you to start the enrolment process and set up the funding, dependent on which funding option it is that you're sort of looking to go down. Once that's done, you'll then be contacted by an apprenticeship coordinator who will sort of take you on your journey up until the first day of learning, and they will do all of the bits of documentation with the learner and the employer, and they will send over some English and maths assessments as well. These are sent over to everybody to complete, regardless of if they've already got GCSEs in English and maths as a requirement of the qualification. I'm sure Sarah and Michelle would sort of back me up on this, that we're always looking to improve everybody's English and maths, no matter what level it is that you're on. So so we'll do those assessments, and then we will confirm the first day of learning with you, and then the programme sort of rolls on from there. And I think that is it. I don't know if anyone's got any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. That was great, and I hope that you've got a lot more information from it. Yeah, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A, and then we can go through and answer any of them from there. I wanted to find out if you could go through a little bit more about functional skills and how that works within the programme for 2 and 3.
Yep, so with functional skills, if apprentices are required to do functional skills, we have a specialist functional skills tutor, but also our tutors are have a lot of support in developing their own maths and English skills so they can support their apprentices on programme. So we have a online software system called BKSB, which is where apprentices will do an initial assessment and a diagnostic, and BKSB will complete an online learning plan for those apprentices. There is also one-to-one support sessions, which the tutors will do with the apprentices as well to ensure that you are getting that support. And each apprentice who is required to do functional skill will receive an online book as well as a hard copy book. So yes, that's kind of where we're at with functional skills. Sorry, I've just seen a question come in saying what happens if an apprentice doesn't pass the functional skills. So with that, we always, we work with apprentices quite closely to ensure they do pass. If for whatever reason they sit in for an exam and they don't pass that exam, then what we will do is we will work with that apprentice to get them then rebooked in the hopes to achieve. Yeah, so I'm just going to respond to a question. I've been kind of going a bit back and forth with Cleo about full and relevant qualifications. So I think there was just some queries about the level 2 and whether it counts towards sort of child ratios, which it does, again, depending on the certificate. So there's quite a range of different level 2 certificates out there. So it's just worth double checking those certificates on the government website to make sure that those certificates are classed as full and relevant, because there are a range of level 2 certificates out there. So it's just something to keep in mind to maybe check those to make sure they are. But providing they are, and they're accredited and they're from awarding bodies that are well known in the early years industry, then they should be fine and they can count towards level 2 ratios. So I hope that sort of clarifies that, because I feel like there's a little bit of panic in the questions that's popping up, just to make sure that's clarified.
Yeah, and just to go back to the functional skills as well, we do offer one-to-one support with that as well. Your tutor will do online delivery, or if you want them to come out and do face-to-face delivery as well, we can do that to help support you through that process to get you ready and confident for the exam.
Great. I also quite like to ask, what online systems do we use? How does an apprentice kind of submit work, and what does their typical kind of work look like for the 2 and 3?
Yeah, we have an online system called Bud. We use Bud across all of the levels. So obviously if you start with us at level 2 and do progress up, you'll be really familiar when you get on level 3 and 5. It is a really nice, simple platform for you to use, and you will submit your work. What happens is your individual tutor will set you those tasks on the Bud platform so you can clearly see it. And then you'll have a deadline on there set where you will submit either your assignment, or whether it's a professional discussion that we do together. Everything gets uploaded and it becomes your platform of your learning. It's really, like I said, it's really easy to use, but we also do give full instructions on how to use it as well. So at the induction process, we'll do a demonstration of how to use it so that you feel confident as well. Have a little practice uploading work on the first day of learning so that you can clearly see if it's worked or if it's not, and then your tutor will work alongside you with that. Your tutor also then will mark your work within 10 days and give you that feedback on that work that you've submitted, so you know if you're on the right lines or if you need to do a resubmission, for example, or just add a little bit more.
Great, thank you. We have a question here from Hava. Would you be able to provide a work placement for us afterwards, or would you have to find it ourselves afterwards? So after your apprenticeship.
Yeah, for me to pick up, absolutely. So with regards to apprenticeships, there's 2 different ways really that people kind of come to us, and those are, the first one is somebody's already working within a setting and they would like to upskill. The second one is that they don't have a setting, but they would like to do the apprenticeship, and there is support there for us to be able to help you to find the employer to complete that qualification with. After you've completed, it very much depends on the employer. They are not tied to keeping you on afterwards. Some employers do offer permanent contracts, and the aim really is to kind of keep people there and grow your own and stick with that employer. However, they don't legally have to. So afterwards we would discuss your options with you, whether you would like to go on to a further qualification with us, and we can either look at supporting you to find a new employer to do that, or hopefully you would stay on with the employer that you're already with, and then can sort of progress from there.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question from Nicola. What are the funding options? I think that's another one for you, Beth.
I think that does lie with me. That's fine. So there's typically a couple of different ways to fund apprenticeships. The first thing we would look at is whether you are a levy payer or not. So levy payers typically are larger chains or settings that sit within a local authority. So if you do pay into apprenticeship levy, then the cost of the programme will come out of there on a monthly basis. The other option is something called co-investment. So that's for anybody that doesn't pay into the levy. Essentially what that means is that the government will fund 95% of the cost of the programme, and then the other 5% is paid for by the setting. So depending on which level you're looking at, it ranges from about £200 to about £500 dependent on which programme. And again, that is split monthly, so it is sort of minimal payments each month, and we will never sort of charge more than we've delivered. So essentially, if for whatever reason your apprentice couldn't continue or you couldn't continue, you would just have to notify us. We would withdraw you from the programme, and then we wouldn't sort of invoice for any further payments. The third option is something called a levy transfer, which can take a little bit longer. Essentially what that is levy people that pay in, companies that pay into the levy, that sometimes have thousands of pounds kind of sat there and they're never going to use it, they are happy to transfer that funding to smaller employers. So that is an option. It's something that you have to apply for, and again, as I said, it does take a little bit longer, but that is also something that we could look into for you and sort of support you with. And with the funding side of things, there's support throughout as well. I appreciate it can get a little bit confusing, but we're here to kind of hold your hand through the process.
Thank you. We also have a question from Debbie, saying she's an employer with 2 staff members just starting EYE with us. That's great. So she's trying to plan her staffing around attending the live webinars, and how will she be informed about the webinars? What kind of flexibility are there around there? And will there be assigned tutors? I guess maybe it's kind of like how the apprentice will fit, kind of work within the day-to-day management of also working in the nursery. I think that's a really good question.
Yeah, we have key dates of all of the webinars that come out, which will should be emailed over to the tutors. We can also get those key dates out to employers as well if you need to, so you can see those in advance of when they are going to be needed and required on live webinars. They are really important that they attend the webinars, and we do kind of say they are mandatory, as it is giving the learners the knowledge to then go on and answer the further tasks that we set on the Bud platform. If for whatever reason, you have staffing issues on that day, if you can inform the tutor who is allocated to those, then we can look into that, and we can send a recording out to those so they don't get behind on their work. However, it's just in exceptional circumstances if it's a staffing issue or an illness, but we do say that it is mandatory to attend the webinars. Again linking with the tutors, but we can certainly get those key dates out if you've not received them. But all of the staff members that have been assigned should be receiving that information very soon. We have had a large cohort of people join us, so we are in the process of assigning tutors, and that should be done within the next 7 days, that they should definitely be receiving their tutor, so then you can have that contact directly.
Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question. I'd also like to ask at the moment about off-the-job training, and kind of what's involved in that, just so that learners and employers, if they don't know what kind of counts towards off-the-job training, and how often do they have to do it through the working week?
So off the job, if you have an apprentice who is full-time, so working above 30 hours a week, they need a minimum of 6 hours a week as part of their off-the-job training. So off-the-job training is time within the apprentice's working hours where they have to develop their knowledge, skills and behaviours. So this can be allocated in a range of ways. It could be the apprentice is taken out of ratio to complete some of their assignments, but it could also be some on-the-job learning as well, such as shadowing more experienced members of staff. It could be working in a room that they haven't worked in before. It could be reading their policies and procedures or looking at different CPD modules. They might be attending training events or having sort of reflective conversations with more experienced members of staff. So there's quite a range of ways to gain that off-the-job training. But again, it would depend on how long the apprentice is working per week as to how many hours they have. If there is an apprentice who is working 29 hours or less, so we see this quite commonly with particularly with term time settings, then the apprentice would have between about 3 to 3.5 hours a week, depending on how often they do work.
Great, thank you. And we also got a question from Sue. Can the payment be made in one payment, or does it have to be split into installments? Yeah,
absolutely. So we did actually used to do it this way, where we would invoice, I believe, after 6 weeks for the full payment. The issue that came with that was that if for whatever reason people couldn't continue with the program, we would then have to sort of backdate payment. So we do it on a monthly basis now. Essentially what that means is that you'll never be invoiced for more training that's been delivered. So if for whatever reason the apprentice isn't able to continue, then we would just stop invoicing you for the payments, and therefore you'd never pay more than you need to.
Great, thank you. We've also got a question from Nicola. Do the learners have an opportunity to speak to each other?
Yeah,
absolutely.
They certainly do. We're talking to one another. Yeah, definitely. Within the webinars, we encourage you to join in and chat together, and we'll have open discussions. I think because we're a nationwide company as well, what we tend to do is have that as an open forum in the webinars and share good practice together. And give opportunities, and we encourage people to talk if they want to on the webinar, so that we can do that. And again, I think it just helps to share the experience as well.
Fab. And then do we have to work to a set order, or if we have more time 1 month, can we get some more done?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we will go at your pace. So if you decide that you have quite a bit of extra free time that you didn't think you'd necessarily have, and you would like to get more of your tasks done, that is something that your tutor can support you with, to give you those opportunities. It might be, sort of 1 month you feel like you need a little bit longer for a task, but then you might need a little bit of less time the following month. That's absolutely fine. Your tutor will be able to manage all of that to work at your pace. The earliest you can finish a level 3 apprenticeship is a year and a day, so just after 12 months of being on programme.
Thank you. Debbie's asked, is there main contact for employers? So she got someone that she was always going to be talking to. Is that sort of the performance manager, or is that the account manager?
I think from the initial stages, one of the team. If you're looking for a main point of contact in terms of the enrollment process and the application process, it'd be either myself or one of my colleagues from the sort of early years team. Upon enrollment, you would have an apprenticeship coordinator that would be there to support you throughout the whole program, and then alongside that, obviously the tutor that you would also be able to kind of be in touch with. I think that's correct. That's Sarah Michelle, you're nodding, so I'm guessing, yeah. There we go.
Yeah,
fantastic. So
that's right.
There's sort of 3 people really that would be there to contact throughout, depending on what your sort of query is at that point in time.
Great. Does anybody have any other questions or anything that they'd like to add?
I think just one thing as well that I would mention, I think Sarah touched on it, is that we do take people on a varying sort of amount of hourly contracts. So I mean, our recommended minimum of contracted hours ideally is 16. However, we will consider people on less hours. It just very much depends on the commitment to the program. Obviously, we do go at the learner's pace, but there is a certain amount of off-the-job hours that you do need to achieve over the duration of the program. So, if somebody's only contracted 2 hours a week, they're going to be on program for about 6 years, and it's not very engaging for anybody. So we try and avoid that sort of scenario. But happy to have sort of conversations around contracted hours if they do any less than 16, and we can sort of take it from there.
And then also, I guess, term time contracts as well, that fits in quite nicely with that, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have term time settings, we have year-round settings. So, we do have sort of a variety of settings that come on program with us. So again, happy to have a conversation around that as well.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that chat today.